We are back once again. It is me, Nona, and this is
Algie.
All right. So today is going to be about self-care. If you guys are interested in watching, feel free to keep on watching and see if you guys can relate. This is episode 8. If you guys are curious, we're still gonna be coming up with more and more topics as we go along, and hopefully we'll try to be more consistent every other week at this point, because our schedules are a little bit different now since I started residency and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Do you want to go ahead and ask the first question, LG, or do you want me to ask you first?
I'll ask you. It's okay.
Okay.
What does self-care mean to you?
Ooh, I have different questions, by the way. I think it was not the updated version, but self-care. All right. So for me, it's a time where you really think more about yourself and what you can do to feel better in situations in which you are super stressed, which is pretty applicable to a lot of circumstances. Like, for instance, at work right now, there's just so many things going on. You have a lot of multitasking to worry about. You got, patients to worry about, their families and all that, and just getting used to the whole nurse routine and is a good example of a time where you feel like you might be a little bit stressed. And I don't know if anyone else is, can relate to that, but that is one thing I'd say. And I think self-care is all about just taking a moment and taking a deep breath and just be in your own, space where there's no, stressful factors. And whether that's at home, whether you, relieve that, going to get a massage, go to spa, like take a nice shower or something. It's really just about, that time for yourself. And I think it's super important to have that. How about you? How do you define it exactly?
For self-care, I would say it's really truly about doing what is best for you.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times we all have busy schedules, right?
Oh yeah.
We all get so focused on the schedules to the point sometimes we forget about ourselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's the problem, because you'll forget like who you are sometimes. Sometimes you'll be like, what am I supposed to do tomorrow? What am I supposed to do next week? How am I going to have time to get a haircut? How am I going to have time to just go exercise, or even to make a healthy smoothie, or go get Starbucks or something?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we forget about ourselves. We forget who we are.
Yeah.
So that's also challenging as well. So it's very, very truly important to always never to forget about yourself, because you have to put yourself first before you put anything else first.
Yeah. It's hard at the moment though, because especially if you're starting at a new job,
Right.
To kind of even have time for yourself, because at that point you're still trying to get used to the routine and all that, and you try to figure out a schedule that works for you in order to take that time off for just yourself and just to really decompress and all that. So it's like you don't exactly get that self-care really at that moment, because you don't really know exactly how you're going to schedule things, like how you're going to take a break from all the stuff, because you're still trying to get used to it and like trying to find a perfect time to actually do that. But we try to take a little bit of time during our day when we don't have that much work going on to kind of just breathe,
Right.
And that's a huge thing, because sometimes we forget that we just gotta it can be pretty complicated, especially when we're trying to adjust to a new workplace and just trying to keep up with everything. So we do forget about ourselves for a little bit, and that's why it's actually important, especially when you're done with work, to just utilize that time to really care for yourself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to ask you, have you ever experienced stress to the point that you found yourself overwhelmed, whether that was work or school?
Yes, I have. It actually was with school at one time. This was work as well sometimes, but I remember specifically really with school because I remember it was last year. I was taking chemistry. I was taking, I think, English and a few other classes. So for me, math is not my weakest, it's not my strongest subject.
Yeah, me too.
So I was stressed out with chemistry because it was so much stuff to do.
Yeah.
Plus juggling time for all the other classes. Then also trying to juggle time for myself. Then preparing for all the exams for all these classes. That's where I really, really experienced stress. Is because, you get to a point where in school all you care about is your grades, right? You want to make sure you have a perfect
Constantly.
board, make sure that you have turned in all your assignments, make sure you do all the extra credit.
Yeah.
Just in case something bad happens to your grade, you want to make sure that you still pass. You have all these things going on in your mind. So for me, when I had that going on, I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like my back was up against the wall. Because sometimes you feel that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd be like, how am I going to get out?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a mental thing sometimes. In that moment, I was like, how am I going to get out of this? Like, because it was consistent. It was Monday through Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have time for myself Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not really, because I would try to take a walk, or I would try to just go running on the track or something.
Yeah.
But
mm-hmm.
I still couldn't really have time for myself like I wanted to. Normally for me, what I do is I love working out. That's like a self-care thing for
That
me.
is totally.
I had to make it a self-care thing.
Yeah.
Because plenty of times before, I couldn't, do like I normally would want to do, like, go to the mall or something like that. So since I never had time to do it, I said, you know what? I'm going to go run on this track. I'm going to go take this walk. I'm going to go somewhere and just walk somewhere. Sometimes I'll walk because my school's on a hill. I'll go walk down the streets and stuff like that just to clear my mind.
Yeah, yeah. It is all about that. And we have to realize that a lot of the stress is mental, for sure.
Exactly.
And so the only way to really get out of that is to definitely take that moment, just either like deep breathing, that really does help. Some people prefer working out for sure, because then you kind of help your mind clear up from all that. So
Yes.
it's really important to find what works for you. And everyone has their own way of decompressing and just feeling more relaxed. Because we all have our own schedule. Whatever works for us may not work for others as well. So again, we have to put a disclaimer that whatever we're going to advise doesn't necessarily cater to specific people.
Right.
It's really just what we personally think, and maybe you're able to relate to that, or you can at least have an idea of, like what could work. But then again, it's not something like, oh, this is going to work for you and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So yeah, we just have to, quickly put a disclaimer out there. So in terms of a stress reliever, what strategies besides, working out, unless that's really like your main one?
That's a main one for me. Well, I will say this. I do a lot of different workouts. So, like, I'll put a disclaimer out there. I've done martial arts over 14 years. So, like, remember all the techniques I've done for all those years. Like, that helps me.
Yeah.
A lot of times running and doing weights and doing lunges and like doing different ab workouts and arm workouts, like that helps me specifically.
Yeah.
Because I truly forget all the stress in that whole 30 minutes that I'm working out or an hour. I'm totally tuning out what's going on personally, all the stress and all that stuff. Because sometimes I don't know if anybody out there can relate to where when you're stressed, you don't realize that you're eating more than normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that happened to me before because sometimes I remember I used to stress eat, and that's not good because I don't even eat that much. But when you're stressed out, you think about, well, what can I do to just get this off my head? Because you have a lot of pressure. We have a lot of pressure with school and work. You try to like balance everything out, and sometimes it works, and a lot of times it's not working. So for me, I just really truly try my hardest to get out of the house and do something. Either it's a walk around the mall, something to just, be like, okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. Or sometimes if you talk to like a really close friend, I know a lot of times when I'm stressed out, that's why I always talk to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does help a lot
It helps a lot because
like
like
just
we get to, relate to a lot of stuff because we both have busy schedules, so we understand that.
yeah. And I have to agree too. I think my main self-care for sure is working out. Cause honestly, it helps to just sweat it out.
Yes,
And
exactly.
again, it is a mental thing. So like if you can kind of because with the brain you need endorphins in order to feel a little bit better in general. So you find something that really works for you. And I think working out is a great way to exercise the brain and to put, those happy chemicals um out, from your head to, I don't know, your
Yes.
entire body, and just like fill it with just happiness and just forget all your worries and the stress that's causing you to feel overwhelmed. So I think working out is super relatable, I'd say, because I feel like that's the only time where I don't have to think so much about what's going on at work or just things that happen in life, and you don't have to bring that when you work out. It's like you can completely it's a good distraction, I'd
Exactly.
say.
It really truly
Yeah.
is. And it
Mhm.
helps to like just really truly just calm yourself down.
Yeah.
I think I will say this when you're stressed out, so at the point to where it's like you don't know what to do,
Yeah.
either take a deep breath, step outside, and go for a walk for at least 5 minutes. For at least a good 5 minutes, because you're really truly calming yourself down or more.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
that's for somebody else out there.
Mhm.
I would say make sure you have a good support system.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
Sorry, my dog's
if you
snoring.
no, it's okay. I will say this: when it comes to having a support system, it's either best to have like a very close friends around you. Like for example, for me, my support system is all my childhood friends and my
Right.
family. So like that helps me specifically because I know that I could go to them and talk to them about whatever's going on. So for those who do not have a support system, try to find like a close friend or maybe try find a good counselor,
Oh, yeah, for
therapist,
sure.
something like, what is good for you. Because we want to make sure that everybody gets support.
Yeah, one way or the other. And
Yes.
whoever you depend on to even talk about what you're dealing with and you actually feel better after discussing that with someone. I mean, honestly, I'd prefer to even mention it to you too, because I know for a fact that you're trustworthy and all that. So you have to, definitely find somebody you find trustworthy to really disclose that type of
Yes.
stuff and to even vent. I don't like saying like vent to the point that it's crazy, but at the same time, it does help not to bottle those emotions because that can take a toll on you and
Yes.
that can cause you to make crazy decisions and maybe you end up hurting yourself more than you should. So I think it's super important to have a support system, like you said, for
Exactly.
sure.
That's so true. That was very, very true.
Alrighty, so moving on to the next question, I'd say I think we have to try to give advice. We'll go ahead and skip to that. What advice would you give for somebody who is just stressed or overwhelmed either because of work or school? You know?
I would say, okay, I'll do it for work and I'll do it for school.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, for work, I would say this. If your job is very, very fast paced or whatever pace your job is, go at the pace that is comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
Even if you are new and things are very, very truly fast paced, you also got to remember that you're not a machine.
Oh,
So you always have to make sure, hey, look, I got to slow down on this. Even though this is important, I got to slow down just a little bit.
yeah.
Just a little bit.
Hmm.
Because you don't want to keep hurting yourself.
Yeah.
I would also want to give advice for school. I would say if you feel overwhelmed when it comes to the work, for all the homework and all the other assignments, go to your professor's office hours and talk to them one on one. I will say that because a lot of times, I think we all do this. We care about what other people think
All the time.
all the time. We care about, like, why is he asking that question? Don't you understand? Like, we just went through that last week, and she still don't get it. You know, all these things that we be thinking about,
Yeah, yeah.
and it makes us self-conscious. So we'd be like, no, I don't want to ask questions. No, it's kind of embarrassing. Or what they gonna think about me? What I got to say? But then you also gotta remember, I'm getting this education. I gotta get this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you actually talk to your professor one on one and actually try to form like a good, healthy study group, or find like a really good tutor, maybe that can actually reduce a lot of stress because you're getting help. Someone can break it down for you best as possible,
Hmm.
and also they can relate to you on how you feel personally.
Yeah.
So I would say that my advice. What about you? What kind of advice would you give out when it
Okay.
comes to school or work or in general? What would you give?
I kind of want to just bounce off this kind of similar advice that you have given already. In terms of asking questions, I think it applies to both the work and school environment. Uh, I think it's not really helpful to be super shy, and I'm gonna say that as someone who is pretty shy, but I've been learning to be more open and just ask more questions because it's only gonna benefit you more than just harm you, right?
Right.
So even if you think it's a dumb question, even if you think that people are gonna think, wow, this person clearly doesn't understand or whatever, like you're so afraid of the judgment, but again, we're really critical about what others are thinking. Maybe they're not even thinking that way, who knows?
Right.
But we tend to think the worst, right? So then we are afraid to even ask, simple questions. But I don't think it's something people should fear because ultimately it's going to benefit you. Maybe it might benefit someone else who actually has a similar question, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So this applies in the workplace, applies in my residency. Currently, I'm trying to ask as much questions, and I literally am so open to just admit that I don't understand something because I want to make sure I do. Because if I'm going to be taking care of patients, I want to make sure I know what I'm doing. Like
Exactly.
before I even step on the floor, I need to at least know what I'm doing, right? So I admit that I'm not perfect and that I'm going to be asking questions. And I think it's okay to ask questions. So that applies work, school, um, anywhere, honestly, because you want to make sure that you're getting those answers. And if it means you might save a life by just asking that simple question from the get go, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So I'd say asking questions. Um, Another one in regards to like self care, because I don't want to go off on a tangent. But I would have to say, yeah, find like that one day at least, or that 1 hour of your day, whether that's after, a shift or before your shift, even. Find what works for you. And if that means do a quick workout, as quick as like even 10 minutes nowadays, it's like pretty convenient to do home workouts. So that's pretty cool. So if working out works for you, that works. Praying, definitely. Um,
Yes,
yeah, because then you feel a lot better. Actually, like your soul feels honestly a lot better when you do. Um,
exactly.
you know, I think praying for sure helps me. Working out, um, I don't know, just try to clear your head right before work or even after work. Whatever was at the workplace or school, just leave it there. Don't bring it
Yeah.
with you. So I'd say that's pretty good advice as well. And I just want to cut it short and just say that asking questions and just finding that time of the day or of the week where you could just have that moment for yourself and just to take care of yourself. So,
Yes, I want to add something real quick.
okay.
When it comes to like self care, I would say this: you have to be very careful who you hang around with, because sometimes if you hang around
Hmm.
certain people, you forget about yourself. So you always want to make sure you put yourself first.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So
So, yeah, that's a big thing about self care is about, caring about yourself. That is pretty self
right,
explanatory in terms of self care. But we all sometimes forget just because life happens and things happen, our circumstances are different, they change frequently, and we forget about ourselves and just taking that moment to just kind of relax. So that's a
exactly.
huge thing. And I think if anyone feels that they're just having such a stressful time, literally just take a break. Because sometimes when you don't take a break, even for that brief moment, you end up just causing more stress. And that just comes to that point where you're literally hurting yourself. So it's not good. Because if you already feel like you're overwhelmed, just stop what you're doing for a second.
Yes,
Just stop what you're
exactly.
doing.
Right,
You can admit and say, look, I'm not really feeling the best right now. Like, let me just take even 5 minutes and just calm down. Right?
right,
So that helps a
right.
lot. And I think it's fine to admit that you're just stressed at that very moment because not everyone's going to be 100% okay throughout, a shift or just throughout the day because we're human. So um, we all go through those times. And it's okay to just admit and just say, hey, I need a break, even for like 5 minutes. I need to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask for, and sometimes it's okay to just be like, I need help.
Yes, exactly. You don't
If
want
you
to
just say,
feel
I
stuck.
need help, yes, if you
Yeah.
just say, I need help, don't be alone. I need somebody to talk to. I need
Yes,
that person
absolutely.
to talk to. Someone who I could trust, someone who I could confide into. I need to do something that can help me because I'm at a low point. What can I do to get out of this feeling?
Yeah,
What can I
don't
get out of this
feel
position?
like don't feel like you are alone because there is someone out there who's willing to listen to you, who's willing to help you out in some way, even just to be there for you when you need to vent or just, just be okay with, not always feeling okay, but then again, like just take the moment for yourself and again, just try to find that time to just decompress and let go of whatever it is that's stressing you out and definitely talk to somebody trustworthy that you feel that they're definitely worth confiding into. So,
Yes, because a lot of times I've learned this. Oh my God, too many times. A couple things. I've learned before. I used to think I could trust certain people, and
that's a big
then
one,
it
yeah.
becomes hurtful. I think this is
Mhm.
important to talk about because sometimes when we do talk to certain people, if you don't know them well enough and they betray your trust, that also is a mental thing that actually hurts your brain as well. So you have to be
Yeah.
extremely careful who you talk to when we're talking about very important subjects that that affects your life.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to keep hurting yourself. Because if somebody is betraying your trust and they're hurting you at the same time, it's just like, okay, how do I get out of this?
Yeah, it's like
Everything's
another
about
thing on
mental.
top.
Everything's mental. Everything's about like your feelings and everything.
Mhm.
So I know for me, it was been a few times where I would have a very serious conversation about something that is bothering me, and they'll just repeat your business in
Yeah,
a
see, that's
negative
the thing
way,
too, yeah. Yeah, that's
and it's
why
so hurtful.
mhm.
Yeah,
No, that's why I definitely add the word trustworthy when I say, like, when you have to vent or whatever,
yeah,
definitely find that person you are willing to trust. That's why I think counseling, therapy, definitely beneficial because first of all, you guys don't know each other like that. I think the more closer you are to someone, sometimes it's a hit or miss. Like they're either gonna tell your business or they're just, they're actually gonna keep it. You know what I mean? So
right.
it does help to seek other people that you don't know too well. Because if they don't know who your friends are either, it actually helps because then who are they gonna talk to about
Ooh,
anyway? Okay.
we'll say that again for our people in the back. That is true. That
Yeah.
is so true.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, like, even if you are super close to the person, that's why I wanna also have a quick disclaimer. Maybe not everyone that's close to you is worth confiding in like that, especially if it's, like, personal stuff. So then
Yeah,
again, we want to advise that, yes, find a trustworthy person. And yes, if it happens to be family and stuff like, you really trust for sure, that's fine. But there's just, situations in which maybe if you're too close and they happen to know the people, that gets a little messy. So,
yes,
so definitely
that is
find a
true.
trustworthy person. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap that up. It's nice to kind of give a little bit of an idea of what you guys can potentially do to help relieve, stress. And again, to remind you that it's okay to not always feel okay. And it's always important to realize that yes, we are human beings, but again, self-care is super important. We have to not forget and neglect ourselves, even if we get super busy. Because I know there's a time in our day where we just could at least take a breather and just step back and kind of calm down in terms of what is bothering us at that moment. So yeah, never forget about yourselves. And Algie, do you want to quickly give advice? Otherwise,
Um, my quick advice is this: know who you could actually trust.
yeah,
I want everybody to know that you can do it, no matter what.
yeah,
Don't ever forget to put yourself first.
yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
sorry to talk off.
It's okay.
Don't ever forget to put yourself first.
Hmm.
Always put yourself first. Love yourself first, because you have to love yourself more
Before you can love.
than you love somebody else or do anything else.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I would also want to say is that take it one step at a time. Go
Yeah.
at your own pace. Go after that goal in your own personal way.
Hmm.
So I would definitely say that as well. And also keep your head up, stay strong as possible, and you're going to make it through.
Yes. And I want to add on that you are stronger than you think. I remember mentioning this in a previous video. I don't know if that was like the first or second video that we've made, but I wanted to mention that again because you are stronger than you think. A lot of it is mental. And a lot of times you would say things that you think that you're just not good enough to do something, but you have to realize that you are. Um, our brains are just so much more bigger than that. You know what I mean? We're
Yes.
more capable than we think. And I think that's a huge thing. And that's why it's important to do that self care because you want to take care of yourself mentally instead, well, not just physically, right? You want to take care of yourself in all aspects. So
Yeah.
yeah, self care applies in many ways. And I want people to remember that it's important to take care of yourself and to love yourself and whatever Algernon said, right? Just don't neglect to do that. And because it goes a long way. Like once you know how to handle things, even despite the stressful situation, you become a stronger person and you become more resilient. And that just That's really awesome. It's gonna help you moving forward, whatever you choose to do in your life. Um, you'll be able to conquer it. So
Exactly. Amen
yeah,
to that.
yeah.
Yes.
But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I thank you guys always. We thank you guys
Yes.
always for
Thank you
at
so.
least taking the time to watch even a few minutes of each of our live streams. It's going to be a little rough with the scheduling. We're just gonna put that out there.
Yes.
But we're doing our best and we're trying to coordinate our schedules. For residency, I'm not able to really control my schedule like crazy. You know what I mean? Because I'm just
Right.
starting off and I'm going based on what the educator prefers us to be scheduled. So I don't get that freedom to really, consistently stay on the schedule. So what we try to do is we try to find a day that works for the both of us and we go from there and we'll try to keep it up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're gonna keep it up.
Yeah, and if anyone has topic ideas, I think that's a big thing. I don't think anyone's watching the end of this. Let's be honest, it's 31 minutes. But if anyone did stick around and just skip to the end, please send us your suggestions. It actually helps that if people want to watch certain things and we could just talk about it, that actually helps us a lot because we can only come up with so many things. You know what I mean?
I'm up for that.
Yeah.
That was true. Yeah.
Yes, and feel free to like, comment, sub for more content like this. And again, subscribe if you guys think that we're pretty cool. I don't know, like no pressure there, but yeah, it kind of helps us. But yes, we'll try to see you guys in the next video, whenever that will be. We'll keep you guys updated. But for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Aldi.
Yeah, so you all have a great day.
Mhm.
You guys could do it. Live your best life, your very best life at that, and stay positive.
Absolutely.
And look bad.
All right. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.